Sarjaway, of which there have been 3 incarnations, was once a name enraptured in peace, but much was squandered by disease and the greed of other races. They were first a part of a beautiful world, but one wrought with danger and misfortune. Dangers born from the threat of the robbery of natural materials and attempts at ethnic cleansing made the beginning of Falankind a difficult one conditioned by harsh struggle. But when all was ash, they persevered. Among the most resilient, ambition was born. Leaps and bounds in intelligence and technological advancement were made, as despite their struggles, they adapted. The Falankind became more protected from meteorites and hostile prospectors, no longer capable of extinction. But in doing so, they became harsh, aggressive even, and by the time they had made contact with the wider galaxy, their hostility had angered others. The Warfra, a forgotten species, thought now extinct, once threat. They appeared as visitors, but quickly began burrowing into the planet, tearing it apart at the seams. Their home was finally giving in to space's oblivion. And so they took their new space travel capabilities and made for a new Sarjaway. The new Sarjaway was bountiful and ripe for advancement. Soon, the Falan became a proud race, one that slowly but surely stabilized its place in the galaxy, focusing on diplomatic relations, establishing itself in the Terramon Council. But one day, the second Sarjaway received a signal. The cosmic arc signal was bouncing off of me when the Emil were preparing for their eternal sleep. This reverberation was meant to bypass the cloud's interference between galaxies, which can disrupt transmitter signals. The downside to this was the reverberation had alerted the Falan. The original purpose of this signal was to call back all external pieces of the cosmic arc. It appears diverging ships to slow down tracing was not just an idea you would later think up, Marlena. The signal had whispered things about internal utopia and the endless energy being intended for the rest of Wyosis. The Falan were greatly interested in this, but quickly realized there was no way to track this reverberation. There was, however, a select number of Falan who fixated on this internal utopia. They didn't take impossible as a finality and strive for military advancement as well as technological acceleration and increasing power. This was the Falan Republic formed. They were led by a political party, which throughout the ages tried to establish themselves as leaders of the Second Sarjaway. But not enough of the population agreed on their aggressive approach. And so rather than the Republic being rulers of the Second Sarjaway nations, they continued as a separate entity. Despite this meaning, their growth would not be as rapid as they had originally envisioned. The Falan Republic remained consistent and persistent. Many ages passed, and the Falan Republic grew good relations with the governments which ruled over them, exacting military and diplomatic missions, which were largely successful under the government's orders. Attempts to get on the Terramon Council, however, were unsuccessful, though their prowess was acknowledged. Eventually, persistence had won over. The Falan Republic had made a discovery. The reason they detected the reverberations of the cosmic arc was due to a material buried deep within the Second Sarjaway that the signal bounced off of, making the once invisible signal suddenly visible. This was Terranite. The Falan's fixation went from attempting to increase political power to creating vast expeditions in search of Tyranite in pursuit of the internal utopia. Military strengthening also remained their priority. Trade became a large part of their process as they brought out all of the Tyranite that they could. Thus, their gathering began. The idea was to densely compress enough Tyranite together to get an accurate reading should the reverberation come again. the theory being that they would get a more precise and accurate reading. But the amount of Tyrannite that theoretically would be needed was vast, and so they stopped at nothing to get every amount that they could. They mined the planet's crust clean for generations. But there came a time when a federation known as the Ord-Ka would stand in their way. This primitive and territorial yet very powerful group of Yurtug had a planet packed with Tyrannite. They would not negotiate, nor would they give up any Tyrannite. The Falan Republic quickly grew entitled and frustrated, losing their patience, and began battle with the Ord-Ka. The conflict grew quite wide, though mainly revolved around the Ord-Ka planet. Still, the scale and violence grew out of hand, and the government ruling over the Falan Republic found out. Not fond of the idea of the Falan Republic starting wars on their behalf, they decided on sanctions. The Falan Republic internally felt resentful of this action. At first, they stopped the conflict, even apologizing at the government's command. But after only a decade, the resentment festered, and so did the ambition that had been with their ancestors for so long. The war became smart, secret, as it reignited. Tagra Sol, a strategist still believed to be alive today, was instrumental in the systematic destruction of the Orodka. Before another decade could pass, the Ordka had all but perished. The Tyrannite was now here for the taking, and take they did. Led by Tagra Sol and other great strategists like him, the Falan Republic knew they couldn't take more risks like this one. They widened their search, discovering uncontacted planets were a good resource, yielding much in the way of Tyrannite. Despite all these precautions, eventually, decades later, the ruling government became suspicious, so the Republic knew drastic action had to be taken. They would go out and find an unpopulated yet livable planet to settle on separately, almost like their own third Sargeway. At first, they suffered as their ancestors did, struggling to break their new home in, terraforming the atmosphere to be optimal and more friendly to life. Though over the next 3 decades, the beauty of the third Sargeway became dull and gray, functional but artificial. The Falan Republic thrived with this, however, advancing their technology and expanding their political power as an independent body. So, many of the Falan didn't even die of old age anymore, as bioprint technology was being deployed. However, strange things happened. Mercenary ships and pirates showing a morbid interest in the third Sargeway, showing hostilities to the ships that came and went. The Falan Republic became paranoid. They started lashing out, going to extreme lengths to protect themselves and anything that might be a threat. So, the architect, Ozavin, she headed a project over the next turbulent century. She created a cosmic force field, something that pulled in the local asteroids that surrounded their group of solar systems. This would go on to become the Custodian Belt, powered by the dismantled cores of several dwarf planets, and with that, their advancement continued at a rapid pace with a sigh of relief. However, the Falan government of the Second Sargeway had heard of their aggressive behavior and took issue. A war broke out, and after a decade, no side had particularly progressed. The government of the Second Sargeway denounced the independence of the Falan Republic, but backed off all the same. And thus, despite what others might think, the Falan Republic became independent indeed. This would be known as a time to celebrate each year, the Day of Fortitude. Not only were they officially independent, but their custodian belt made it near impossible for intruders to come and go from their territory. So to date, there is no record of anyone brute forcing their way through. Due to precious relation building, whether it be by hacking or firepower, Tormont trusted the Falan Republic when they said they meant them no harm. The following year, one of the uncontacted planets, the Falan Republic, had set up contact near due to their Tyrannite intake. Rom had an event happen that would change their perspectives forever. Lunar Vefel, a courier pilot, was a human whose agency subcontracted her out to the Falan Republic. She was sent up to the Falan Republic service station Trostin to deliver hardware and Tyrannite, but she was thought to have seen data that she shouldn't have. The Falan Hukdomar shot and killed Luna. Luna, however, possessed a specific DNA strain that connected well with the cosmic arc. Thus, her bioprint was easily grabbed by my other piece, Ava. The entirety of Trostin was, of course, fit with the state-of-the-art technology that was the bioprint. However, where Ava was sent to, there was no warp trail. Luna was put into cryosleep and traveled 1,085 years to finally hop on one where she would waken Tormont, seeking revenge. She would later be killed again by the very same Hokdamar after several clone body replacements. He was still very much alive, like most of the willing Falan Republic elites. During this millennium of Luna's travel, the Falan Republic would eventually learn of Luna's bioprint transfer to Ava, and they slowly realized Ava was in fact a part of the cosmic arc. The research into what caused this was extensive. They created many experimentation programs, which would usually involve killing a large group of subjects all at once. Their pursuit of the cosmic arc was always resolute, never faltering, no matter how many years passed. Bit grim, that, huh? They wanted to replicate sending someone to the cosmic arc. This way, the reverberations the cosmic arc had let out all those years ago could finally be traced to its source. The government of the Second Sargeway had its reservations, but ultimately their shady dealings didn't affect the Second Sargeway after a century or so. So, the Second Sargeway's government lost interest. The security of the Third Sargeway became intense. Only very few privileged individuals, such as the Tormont Embassy, were allowed within the custodian belt. Due to this, attacking or exploiting the Falan Republic for its corruption no longer seemed worth the effort to any major superpower. Even Tormont lacked sufficient evidence and valued its alliance with the Thalman Republic too much. Despite this galactic agreement, there were small forces that sought to dismantle the Falan Republic from the inside included. They were quickly squashed, but one particular cell persevered. They were led by the architect, Ozevin herself. Ozevin felt guilty for what defense she had given to such a fascist government. She had helped hide their corruption with the custodian belt, perhaps even willingly at the time. This cell was known as Interface. Ozevin had officially defected from the Falan Republic to form Interface. Knowing how her creation worked, Ozevin knew how to manipulate the custodian belt. She hatched a plan to make the first opening in the belt's history. She would then lead Interface in and hijack a communications satellite. This satellite allowed multiple transmitters in to all be in constant contact with the various Tyrannite expedition fleets. Her plan was to send this wealth of data all to Tormont. They would not be able to avoid this massive evidence and would have to acknowledge it, even if it meant the possibility of intergalactic war. However, a close friend of Ozevin ended up defecting as a mole after an argument. A fleet would be waiting for Ozevin as she began to make the opening in the custodian belt. It would be there where Ozevin, along with the majority of Interface, would be wiped out by the Falan Republic fleet, led by Zom Kovar under the command of supposedly Tagara Sol. It is said that small parts of Interface are still out there. Also, the Falan Republic would later set up bioprint stations right within the uncontacted planets they preyed upon afterwards. This was for the purpose of finding people who possessed the correct DNA strain to connect with the cosmic arc. They had figured out that people of the DNA strain, like Luna, would also have their consciousnesses projected to the cosmic arc, or at the very least, a piece of the cosmic arc. But this time, they would have the equipment to stand by to trace the matching individual. All the individual would need to do is die on the site of one of these stations. However, the chances were slim. The remainder of the millennium had passed, and there was no one who matched this strain. The rarity was impeccable, but the Falan Republic were dedicated and persistent, sticking to the long wait. They continued making their bioprint stations, collecting Terranite by any means necessary, and searching the vast unknown for the internal utopia and endless energy they had heard so much about. Another year would have to pass before they would find another. This was you, Marlena. Terrax, a human, populated, livable, vibrant planet, rich with Terranite and a hopeful future. Odilaj, the commander of the Hometh fleet, which had contact with Terrax, was frustrated. Terrax had a very unique crust. Zolink is the galactic geological term for it, but you would likely know it simply as bedrock. As a resident of Terrax, you wouldn't have a point of reference for much else. Zalink had a way of merging with Tyrannite. Whenever they tried to drill through the Zalink, it would often splinter and harm the Tyrannite. This was due to natural chemicals that were released, which degraded the Tyrannite's minerals. What few Tyrannite deposits that were above the Zalink were quickly snatched up and negotiated away. Any more that the humans did procure to feed negotiations were very degraded, and not worth much to the Falan Republic. Falan Republic intel states that Eurotonin, Trumpson, and the Falan Republic knew about the degrade, but not the diplomacy that served under the Trumpson party. This was largely why, towards the end, the Falan Republic weren't very receptive to Tyrannite offers. It had become worthless to them. So a plan was devised with Odilaj as its lead to extract the Tyrannite in its purest form. This involved disintegrating all Zalink of Terrax crust at once. This would eliminate the harmful gases, preventing degradation. What few splinters would be caused would be negligible. And what was most convenient of all for the Falan Republic was that the Tyrannite's melting point was much higher than Zalink, meaning Tyrannite would be able to float away freely from the inner crust of the planet. The plan was put into motion, but during Terrax's final hours, they emitted a final scan, and their refined frequency picked up your DNA, Mylena, so the order was put into place to end your life on a station. The diplomat, tasked with doing so, Toval, needed a new body anyway, and so volunteered to be killed alongside you, as the planet Zalink would be disintegrated, causing the surface temperature of Terrax to become that of a star. Your companions, Splinter and Var, were simply collateral to the Falan Republic. All four of you had your bioprints projected, yours to the Cosmic Ark, and Toval to the Hormeth mothership, using advanced machinery in all hands. Once the plan was successfully complete, Autologus' force was able to collect all the Terranite in a single day. They had considered destroying Genova, but decided time was of the essence. Odilaj informed Zumkovar, who announced the grand discovery to the rest of the Falan Republic. Much of the Falan Republic, including Zomkovar and Autolaj, left for the Cosmic Ark. To the best of my knowledge, they want control, though it is unclear what they will do with that control. Only vessels and pieces of the Cosmic Ark, such as Ava, Cos-1, or as you know her, Cosmic, and I can act independently from this control. Options that I suggest: take sanctuary in another galaxy, on an uncontacted planet, or compile enough pieces of the Cosmic Ark before they are drawn back to their core arc, so that you may supersede the Phantom Republic's control. Or fly within me to a distant galaxy and use my facilities to simulate internal utopia. Either way, I am at your service, Marlena. The choice is yours.